Hello everyone and welcome back to part 2 of the HPH 132nd PBY Catalina build, and this one is a slow mover. So we got some more framing done on here, as you can see. On here, just a quick little update, and we got that done to both sides. One gripe I have so far was on the framing on the section that we already did the longitudinal framing on, was I guess you were supposed to add these or cut your grooves in for these before you attach the longitudinal, but in the instructions it just had you connecting the long strips. There's also no lines like in the rest of it to show that there's going to be pieces that go in there, but they do have you connect that. So in order to kind of meet in the middle on that, I just sanded down the major supports right here, and to get them to the right height. So they're there. It doesn't go all the way down to the fuselage, but I think that should be okay for now. And especially you're going to have a walkway going over all of this and all of that, so it should not be too much of an issue with that. And then the rest of the framings went down pretty easily. Now what we have left to do, we have 4 more of these pieces to go on the front section, and then another 4 more to go back here, and then we start getting into the actual upright supports on here as well. So after we're done with the horizontal supports, we'll start doing the vertical supports, and then after all that's done, we'll go in and add all the little horizontal supports that go into this kit as well. So it looks like it's not a lot of work, but it is a lot of work, because each one you have to cut off the casting block and get sanded down to the right shape and size, and then glue it in and hope that it sticks, even though with the using the kicker does help speed that up a little bit. So what I'm going to do now, after I take a little break, because I'm a little bit beat right now, my routine has kind of been thrown off by a doctor's appointment this morning, and I'm going to take a little break, and then we'll get right back into doing the front framing up here, and I'll actually do that on camera with you guys so you guys can see how it goes on. And then after that, repeat for the other side, and then we do all the upright framing. So a long way to go, but we're moving, so we're making progress, and that's all that matters. So I'll see you in 1 second, okay? Alright, we're back and ready to start framing the front section of the fuselage. So we have about 4 frames on this side, and then we have 4 more on that. Then after that's done, we're going to move back here and get all these done right along in here before we start moving on the vertical ones. So we got the instructions ready. We need part number 4 first, so this one. I got my knife ready, and we're just going to cut along the side here, and then we're going to do some cleanup afterwards, but try not to cut any of the actual piece off. Then just repeat, just scoring right along. It starts to pop off after about 1 or 2 scores. Hit it with a little bit of accelerator just to help the process. That way I'm not messing around and messing it all up when it's all done. So alright, then up next we got number 3, which is this guy. Okay, so we already know that one was going to be an issue, so we're going to do any more trimming that we have to do later on. This one we have to kind of bend. That's right, and then again we gotta adjust for the length on here. So that front side on this fuselage is done right here, as you can see, and then all of that is done. So the rest, we have a few more to do back here, and then we start with the vertical ones going all the way up forward. Now we get to repeat for the other fuselage. Getting that done. Starting off with, again, row 4. Alright, so the front half of this one is done. Both of them are front halves are done, so now we get to work on the tail section. We need number 12. Alright, one aft end done, one to go. Alright, so both sides of the bottom fuselage framing, except for the little longitudinal framing to go in, I'll take care of that after I'm done with all the other major framing. But again, all this is done. Moving right along. So now we get to add in all the ribs to here, and should be a lot more fun too. So let's get back to it. Alright, I gotta figure some stuff out with this framing, so I'll be back in a minute. Alright, so we finished up with the ribs for the blister section forward to the, or basically the midsection right here. We still have the forward section and the tail section to do, but this was an absolute freaking nightmare to do. Just the numbering on it, getting it to work, and then some of the frames aren't lining up, but like I said, you really won't be able to see any of this, so I'm not 100% really worried about this right now. Now if you had the half Catalina that they released, this would definitely be a different story, because you would definitely want everything to be absolutely perfect, because when it's a half shell, you're definitely going to be able to see everything. But right now I'm just putting it in because there might be connection points on here, but we'll see. But again, we got both sides done, as you can see right here, and moving forward, we'll go with the front section next on the ribs that go along the side, and then after that we'll move on to the aft section and get all that done. Then after all that's done, we start adding all the tiny ribbing that goes in here, or framing that goes in there. So still a long way to go. I'm hoping to have all this done by Sunday before the update, but we will see, because we still have a very long way to go. But after the ribbing is all done, we actually start to make some progress with actually putting some life into this. We're going to get it painted and all that for the first part. Then after that we start putting in some of the stowage sets and all the equipment operator set, like the radio operator and the navigator and all that. So after the next part, we should really start to come to life on this. So I know right now it seems pretty boring. For me, it's a headache. So but I'm ready to move on to the next section and really get this going. So I'll be back in 1 second when we start the front ribbing on here, okay? Alright, so what we have up next is the final transverse framing for the Catalina. I already got the port side done. Now we're working on the starboard side. We just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more frames to put in going transverse, and then after that we have a ton of longitudinal frames to do on here. But we're just going to move right along, and the way I did this was I just came across with a sheet of 400 grit sandpaper and just moved it around like so. Alright, so the sanding is all done on here. Got it down really thin on the parts that matter. And then what I'm just going to do, and the nice thing about this sheet is that they actually go down in order of what you need. Unlike some of the other ones where this piece is a piece that you might need, and then this piece, and then this piece. It doesn't go back and forth like some of the other wafers do. But just going to take a knife and then cut out alongside the frame like so. And some of the parts of the wafer are so thin you don't even need to cut, it automatically comes off. So alright, so the first frame is done and ready. We're just going to take our knife across and kind of clean it up a little bit. Okay, so now that's ready to go. We get this lined up on the tweezers, maybe, if I can hold on to it. It goes right in there, like so. Test fit is good. Alright, so now we're just going to apply the glue. Alright, why is this one fighting me so freaking much? I hope if I had it on the right line too. First one down. Alright, so let's get the rest of these done. Alright, so the transverse framing for the Catalina on both the port and starboard fuselages are done. So as you can see, all these going on right in here, all that's all done. So up next, what we got to do is we need to add all the longitudinal framing, and there is some also vertical framing that goes on in between where the bulkheads will go. Like there's a bulkhead here, another bulkhead here, and another bulkhead here. But there are a couple, like right along in here, there's a, oh wait, that's a bulkhead that goes there as well. So don't have to worry about that, but we do have one little vertical one here, and that should be the only vertical ones that we have to worry about. The rest are longitudinal going on. So still a long way to go. Each one of these we have to measure and cut two sides because they all come in wafers like this. So one length on here, just have to sand it down and then measure it with my micrometer, which is right here. So this guy's going to get a lot of work in over the next few days. So we're going to start on getting this done. I'll probably do one side off camera and then I'll do the next side on camera so you guys can see how everything looks when it's going on. So I will be back in 1 second once all of the starboard side fuselage is all done, and then we'll work on the port side together. So I'll see you in 1 second. Alright, we're back, and it's time to close up part 2 of the HPH Models 132nd Catalina. And it seems like this is a very slow progress of a build, but in actual reality this is moving along pretty quickly with all the extra detail that we have to do on this kit. So as you can see on this part, we finished all the transverse framing going through the entire fuselage on both sides right here, and right now what I'm starting to do is the actual longitudinal framing going on along here, and then each piece like I said before, has to individually be measured and cut because they come on these wafers right here. As you can see, just sand them down and then you cut them, and this is the one that I'm working with right now. So for part 3, gonna continue on with the framing. I'm hoping that I'm gonna get this framing done sometime this week. I'm hoping it. Just this part right up here took me about 2.5 hours to do, just getting all that done. So we got a lot more to do as we go through. But with that being done, with the getting both sides of the fuselage done, and then after that for part 3, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on some of the extra parts that go onto the bulkheads that I've already assembled, like some of the radio equipment and some of the cans that are going on to those bulkheads. I'm going to go ahead and get those ready to go and get those painted when I'm doing the paint for the interior, this part right here. So that way when I put in those bulkheads, everything is done on those bulkheads and I don't have to worry about trying to angle something at a special angle with tweezers and just making life a lot easier later on. So that's where we're standing with part 2. I know this can be a little bit boring, and I really want to thank you guys for sticking around for this. And if you haven't yet, like, share, subscribe, and so that way you can see when I release more videos on this build, because here in a few weeks, a couple weeks, it really should start to come alive, at least on the interior side on here. So again, thank you for sticking around. I hope you stay tuned for the next parts of this build, and until next time, have a great day, stay frosty, and happy modeling.